All right, so moving on to brakes for the B8 S4 giveaway car. So first off, we've got a big brake kit from Stoptech. So we're gonna have some larger front rotors and cross-drilled rotors for the back as well. We've got these nice fancy red calipers. That's adding some horsepower, right?
Red for race cars.
Is it like 10 or 15 horsepower per red caliper? I think, something like that. Look up the specs. But we also have some Hawk ceramic pads, and we have some new stainless steel brake lines, some from ECS, and then for the front, we have some Stoptech. So Kevin, kind of elaborate and enlighten us with all of these performance brake parts. What's it gonna be helping us with?
So in the stock configuration of this car, you have a single piston floating caliper. We're gonna be switching to a 6-piston fixed caliper. One of the big important things on this car, or for brake pedal feel in general, is stiffness. So you wanna get rid of the flexible stuff. The stock rubber lines gotta go. We're gonna be replacing those with stainless braided lines. And so that combined with the fixed caliper is gonna give us really good pedal feel, and it's gonna help us apply some more pressure. So we also have, with more pistons, you're gonna get more piston area, so you're gonna get better clamp load on the brakes. That combined with a more race car compound and a lower dust compound from the Hawk pads is gonna give us a nice clean and powerful stopping grab from our brakes. So overall, should be lighter, grab better, stop better, do everything better basically.
So much good information, Kevin. I feel smarter by the day. Every day that I do one of these videos with you, I just feel smarter and smarter. So let's get it to Matt once again, get him to do the dirty work. We're gonna keep those clean hands. Let's get Matt in here.
Well, with all the power that we're adding, it needs to be able to stop. The brakes on the S4 are pretty good to begin with, but the Stoptech brakes are a much larger diameter and are 6-piston instead of, this is just a single large piston. It's a floating caliper. So the way this caliper works is it has a single piston on the inside, and when it presses out, it's on slides that also pulls it in. So that's how it gets clamp force on both sides. Stoptech caliper is a solid piece, and it has pistons on both sides that push evenly. So in theory, it should not only stop better because it has better clamping force, it should cool better because the discs are bigger, and in theory, should have a more even clamp force. So it shouldn't create hot spots in the rotor when they're being used a lot. Sometimes if you're having trouble with something that's like really stuck, if you try to tighten it a little bit more and then back it off, you can get the threads to break loose. A little bit easier than just trying to break it loose. So sometimes that's a trick if you're having trouble. These brackets that they use are super nice. They're billet. They've got these really nice stainless studs and nuts, and the calipers are always like these really, if you don't get gunk on them, these like really nice machine calipers. I don't know, just like everything about these kits just like screams quality. Kind of things I look for is like braking performance to noise, because when you get into like some higher end performance pads, they can get pretty noisy sometimes because they have a really high metallic compound, so they'll squeak. And there's nothing wrong with them, just that's the price you pay for performance. So what I like to see is a pad that stops really good and you don't get a lot of like brake fade, but also doesn't make a ton of noise. And it seems like Hawks do that pretty well.
All right, guys, moving on to suspension for the B8 S4 Sweepstakes car. So we've got a ton of parts here from a ton of our favorite manufacturers. So first off, we have the V3 coilover set from KW. We have a rear sway bar from 034, along with some sway bar end links and toe arms. And Miley sent us an HD control arm kit that we're gonna put on this beast and get it handling nice. So who better to tell you about all these fantastic parts than my great pal, my dear friend, Kevin. Kevin, take it away. Tell us about all these parts.
All right, so we'll start off with the coilovers. These are a KW V3 So with the V3, you're going to get not only compression adjustment, but also dampening. They're a coated body for corrosion resistance. KW's done a lot of testing and tuning. Each set gets endurance tested before they send them out. So these are going to be a nice kind of in between for track versus street. It's going to be comfortable but perform well, and allow you to kind of dial in things the way you want them. Next up, we have the 034 stuff. So they sent us adjustable front end sway bar and links, and then to go along with their 25 or 1-inch diameter rear sway bar, which is also adjustable. They have the spherical bearing rear sway bar end links and the polyurethane greasable sway bar end link mounts. The closer you are to the axis of rotation of your sway bar, the stiffer it's going to be. So you just move the links closer in, you have a stiffer bar, move the links further out, it's a little bit softer. I think we're going to go full stiff right off the bat, and hopefully everything's good. And then lastly, we have the Miley HD control arm kit, which is kind of like a OEM plus type scenario. Miley goes in, they find all the factory failure points and they beef them up. So they got bigger ball joints, thicker rubber, better grease. And then we also have, along with the front control arm kit, the top hats for the front coilovers. Those are from 034, and they're a higher density mount than the factory. So no voids or anything, they're all filled, and they're 65A durometer. So it'll help get a little bit better feel out of the suspension. I think that covers it.
So well informed, Kevin. It's like, are you a master of all things Audi? It just seems like you know everything. So awesome. We're gonna once again hand this over to Matt. He's gonna do all the work, and it's gonna be exciting to see how the car looks when all of this is installed.
Everything's a hammer when you're a mechanic. Am I going the right way? Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. It's not actually under that much pressure. It's all a scam. Don't do that. Don't do that at home, though. See how the control arm dropped like that when I took it loose? That's because these have to be torqued at a specific location because the rubber can't spin around inside of the control arm. So if you don't torque them at ride height, which because we're lowering this car, I can't put the new ones back in just in the same location and torque them down, because then they'll be functioning in the wrong range. You have to set the car to ride height and then torque these down. That way these rubber bushings aren't being twisted in a circle. That's how you end up with control arms going bad after like 7,000 or 8,000 miles. So I just tightened it down just enough so it's snug, but as you can see, the inner race is still able to spin in there. That's not supposed to be like that. But once we set to ride height and it's staying in a nice level spot, we can torque it down, then that won't spin and the bushing will actually function the way it's supposed to. Okay.
moving on to chassis and drivetrain. We're going to be stiffening it up and making this B8 S4 handle like a beast. And who better to tell you about all of these beautiful pieces than our favorite Audi engineer, my favorite person probably just in the whole world, Kevin. Kevin, take it away. Tell us about all these parts and kind of enlighten us with all your vast knowledge.
So we have a whole bunch of fancy billet parts here. I guess we'll start with the drivetrain stuff. If we have rear diff inserts, rear subframe inserts, and the transmission insert. So basically with those, we're all kind of doing the same type of thing. We're taking a factory mount that has a bunch of voids in the rubber, and we're just putting an aluminum piece in there and limiting the motion of that mount. So rear end's gonna stiffen up, transmission's gonna stiffen up, but we're not replacing it with like a poly mount. So we're not adding a bunch of NVH to the car, but we're limiting movement and kind of enhancing the crispness or performance of the car. Along with that, we have additional braces where we're not just adding them to the factory pieces. So we're replacing the rear transmission tunnel brace. We're adding a brace between the rear lower control arms, and 034's biggest billet fancy piece that they offer. This is going to replace the factory X brace that goes under the car, connects the power steering assembly to the chassis, and we're just going to stiffen everything up. Along with that, in the front end, we're going to do the front strut tower brace, both front and behind the firewall. So we're replacing a factory bent steel piece here, and we're adding this. Front end's going to be super tight. Everything should be nice and crisp. It's going to handle nice. It's going to give you good feedback, and hopefully not add too much NVH.
And for the folks at home, tell everybody what NVH is.
NVH stands for noise, vibration, and harshness. So that's something that Audi engineers spend a lot of time trying to get rid of, and then we usually go in and kind of ruin it a little bit. But they spend a bunch of time kind of dialing out little teeny tiny frequencies, resonant frequencies that happen at random times, so you don't get a weird vibration in your radio or your center console while you're cruising down the highway. But we don't really care about that. We want the performance. We'll make a compromise in the middle and go more towards performance side.
Awesome. So we're going to get this to Matt. He's going to put everything on, and I think today was definitely the prettiest layout. I mean, this is all beautiful stuff here. So I think it's going to look even better when it's installed on this beast.
Plastic in the back. Just install 034.
It was here.
Hey. Oh, was that in your shot? Did it already have inserts?
Yeah, check this out.
Oh, factory.
Factory stuff.
Yeah, BMW does this too.
034 is Big Johnny in there.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, deeper, wider, thicker.
More supportive.
Oh, so nice.
Really support.
Look how nice too.
Oh, you didn't even lube it. You just rammed it in there dry.
She just goes in.
Wow.
Yeah, nice. She likes it.
It's